Welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence first Saturday Creator Convo. I'm Noelle Marshall, and I'm so pleased to see the turnout here. We have Haseena Patel, and will be hosted by Conrad. And this is the first time Haseena has been our guest. So we're very excited about her offering. But before I turn this over to Kim to introduce Haseena, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence. So hold on. That's a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence. And you'll notice it might have said turn off your video, but for this presentation, everyone is welcome to keep their video on, but please stay muted until you are invited into the conversation. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my dear friend and CCC member, Conrad, to introduce our guest. And I'm looking forward to this wonderful discussion. So thank you, everyone, for coming today.
So let me give a shout out and a thank you to Noelle and Bob, creators of CCC. It's a phenomenal group, and I invite you to check it out on Facebook and their website that have added great value for a long time to this planet and this transformation. Hello, everyone that has chosen to join us for live today, and all of you that then view the recording later. I invite you, I have a little frog that keeps wanting to say hello. Hopefully it won't become a whole family. I invite you to go ahead and leave your videos on, if you would, as Noelle asked, keep yourself muted. And if you would, we've got one person that's already done this, but if you would put your name, where you're from in the world, and a short sentence or so as to why you're here today in the chat, along with your email if you'd like to be in touch with people, then please do that while I introduce Haseena. So, and Haseena and I and Shamima, her sister, have known each other for quite some time, and they're wonderful, amazing people. So, Haseena Patel is a mind-body-spirit breakthrough coach, international speaker, yoga instructor, Akashic Records reader, and teacher, poet, and peace builder from South Africa. She works with clients globally to understand the mind-body-spirit connection, claim personal sovereignty, and move to their next level through stress-clearing practices and her proprietary unbecoming system. She is co-founder of Leave No Girl Behind International, an organization that empowers girls worldwide through leadership, and is co-creator of the Bubbles Beyond Borders global campaign for gender equality, which focuses on summits to build self-worth. Haseena is the author of 4 outstanding and life-enhancing books, and I invite you to learn more about her books, and so forth at haseenapatel.com. And that will be on the last slide as well when we're done. So Haseena, please take it away, and may miracles abound for all of us.
Thank you. I love that as a starting point. May miracles abound for all of us. And I have a few thank yous to say. So thank you, Kim, for introducing me. And Kim speaks these languages of co-creation very deeply. I have known Kim, and she's a healer, a spiritual teacher, and so much more. And I just want to thank her. Thank you, Kim, for your support to ensure everything's running smoothly. And I also want to thank Noelle from Co-Creators Convergence for this wonderful space where we can all co-create. And Tex, thank you for introducing me to this and just being there for support. And of course, I'm going to be doing a slideshow presentation in a few minutes. And my sister Shamima did those slides because she wouldn't let me do them. She says I won't do as good a job as she does, and she's right. And in the space of gratitude, I'd like us to all do something as co-creators and think, not really think, but feel 3 things that you're feeling gratitude about in this moment. It doesn't have to be the things you think you're supposed to say or a list that you think. It's all about feeling. So let's just put that out there into the space. Just take a minute. Okay, and whatever it is that you came up with, that was perfect for this moment. As we form the next moment, your feelings might shift. And I think that's what we're wanting for this whole space, because shifting and evolving in every moment is what it's all about, what this lifetime is all about. It's really exciting. I love that this is called Co-Creators Convergence, because we get to co-create the world that we want to see, even if it's just right now in our own community. I was talking to Tom earlier, and we were speaking about co-creating, and he brought up a very important point, that co-creating is always about honoring listeners and honoring the communication. So I honor all of you as listeners listening to me, and co-creators creating and putting your energy into the space, and I honor our communication. And I'm going to begin, so bear with me as I share screen. And to all those people who've just joined, I recognize all the names. Hi, it's so great to have you with us. And if anyone's not muted, if you could please just mute yourself, that would be great. All right. I'm just going to take this quote. I think it's such a wonderful, very apt quote for this time in our world. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. And that's a Rumi quote, and I'm sure most people here are familiar with that. Often we're so concerned with what we write about that we don't see that there can be peace. And we can all just follow our inner truth, just be there with what we feel is our truth. So I'm going to go into a meditation. If you feel called to, close your eyes. And we're just going to take a few deep breaths. Inhale. Exhale. In out. And in and out. And in this space, we're opening up the space of trust inside you, the space where you trust that whatever comes from you is okay, that you're aligned, that this space, this collective space, is a safe space. And we're going to journey within into body, mind, and spirit. And we're going to use the body to start with. Go within into the first cell and just be within that cell. And take a breath. Notice its membrane, the edge of the cell. And that edge is where everything happens, where the cell decides to protect, to defend, what to let in, what not to let in. And that cell is discerning because of the cell membrane. And just using that cell membrane acts in discernment and in love, being kind to your being. And as you journey in, just see how this cell, like all the other cells in your body, acts in kindness, supporting your body, not even paying attention to the fact that perhaps you haven't been using your body in a kind, respectful way. The cell takes care of you and inspires you and supports you in spite of that. Now multiply that by all the cells in your body, and that's how much support you have. That's how much love you have. That's how much respect for your being is being shown to you. That's how much kindness is being shown to you. And now journeying into the mind that has the power to override everything you physically do, which perhaps influences how you move, what you think you're capable of. The mind overrides anything physical. And you have that power within the mind to be able to think it, and so it is. And it is such an amazing power. And that love, that empowerment that is coming from the mind, acting in support of your body, acting in support of your whole being. That is the love that is being shown to your entire being. And now journeying into the spirit, the connection, the field around us, and just feeling that connection to whatever you call it, whether you call it source within, God within, the heart, your center, higher self, whatever it is, you call that space inside you, that connection space, where your intuition tells you what feels right and what doesn't, where you feel what your next step will be without having any planning thereof or any conscious decision about it. That's how loved you are. That's how supported you are. That's how much kindness is shown by the spirit part of your being, to be able to feel what's right, to be able to reestablish trust when perhaps you haven't trusted yourself. And we're coming from the space of body, mind, and spirit acting as one in alignment to support your whole being, where we can come from a space of intuition and come from a space of trust and bring that to the table collectively, that we can all bring that to one another in the space, in the sacred space, and make the space sacred, that we can honor everyone's contributions and honor our own. This is a space of love. And just take another deep breath as we journey back. And open your eyes when you're ready. Just going back to this quote, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. So we move into the first principle. This is about personal sovereignty through healing, the mind-body-spirit connection. Claiming personal sovereignty. First, we're looking at what is personal sovereignty. So, and how do we claim it? And we define that in so many ways. Literally, it's almost like many of us feel like you stake a claim in the ground and then say, well, this is my space, this is my sovereignty. But in the world that we live in, there are so many ways to claim your personal sovereignty, claiming and living in one's truth. The act of coming back to center, being in alignment in body, mind, and spirit, seeking. And I'd like to go into seeking a bit. When we're looking for what we feel deeply inside as a calling, when we're looking for what we feel is something that we're meant to be doing, or our next step, that is seeking. That's claiming our personal sovereignty. That's claiming who we are and being with who we are. It's the willingness to go deeper into ourselves and see what we really want and what we can give to the world. And then being without limiting self by others' expectations or circumstances. So often we're so concerned with what society has told us, what our culture has told us, what our community, whoever has told us about who we are or who we're supposed to be, that we're actually limiting ourselves and not allowing ourselves to climb out of that box. And yet we can say what box, because the box is just of our own visualizing. We don't have to see it. And the ultimate limiting of ourselves comes from us. It's not about what other people expect. It's about what we're expecting, the circumstances that we're perceiving, what we're seeing through other people's eyes. That's where it comes from. And therefore, if that power is with us, then the empowerment rests with us too, that we can come from the space and be able to go right there and say, if I could limit myself, I can unlimit myself. And that's a way of claiming personal sovereignty. Leadership, claiming personal sovereignty is an act of leadership. It's being able to say, I have the courage to journey into my personal truth, into my alignment, mind, body, and spirit. And it doesn't matter what anyone else's journey is. That is an act of leadership. It's knowing and acting on the knowing, which is your intuition, which is the knowing that you can trust yourself, the knowing that collectively everything will be okay. And sometimes that's hard to know because we're not coming from the place of truth. Perhaps we don't believe it yet. And growth, claiming personal sovereignty is growth because we're paying homage to our evolving in our lifetime, being able to grow as people, grow as souls, and just give from that space of growth. And sometimes the people who are in our world haven't decided to grow with us. And that's okay too. So let's challenge our concept of healing. We're talking about claiming personal sovereignty in healing. What is healing? We're so conditioned to think that things are physically wrong, so we heal from a particular condition, a particular illness, disease, whatever. And what if we looked at healing in a different way? We don't heal from anything, we heal to something. What are we healing to? And in my view, Healing is something we are healing to constantly. Healing is a verb. It's the act of coming back to center. It's not being in the center where everything's okay. It's when we feel that something is off center, which happens with growth, when we resist growth or we're growing in a different way, and everything feels wrong, or it feels like we haven't quite caught up with the growth we want. That the act of coming back to center from there is healing to our next level. Healing is being in alignment in body, mind, and spirit, just like claiming sovereignty is. Often we'd find in mainstream medicine being told that, well, healing is either physical or it's psychological, or you need one of those kinds of healings. No, I feel that healing is in alignment, body, mind, and spirit as one. When your body doesn't want to do something and your mind feels that I can do that, it's able to show the body that it's possible. So body, mind, and spirit. And then having that connection in spirit, knowing that it is possible. I can just go to my truth, to my higher self, God within, source within, whatever you call it, and be in that alignment, and I can heal to the alignment. Healing is seeking, again, seeking our next level, which makes us see that our past, present, and future can be changed. And if we were asking, how can I change my past, or how can I change my present? When you see things from a different viewpoint, what you see changes. The events don't change, but how you perceive the events, your filter changes, and your past is changed. It makes a huge difference emotionally. Your present is changed, and your future that you previously perceived can be changed. And healing is being without limiting ourselves, again, by others' expectations or circumstances. And that can be physically, where people don't expect us to be in a state of wellness. It can be the mind, where we're not allowing ourselves to see any limits, or it can be through your spirit, your connection, where you know you can heal to your next level of growth and see it differently. Healing is leadership. When one takes leadership with saying that I am healing too, that again is an act of leadership. It's claiming your personal sovereignty. It's feeling that I have the ability not just to come back to center, but to go to the next level. Healing is knowing and acting on the knowing, especially following our body's intuition, which our body has, not overriding it by what I'm supposed to do, but it's by what feels right. And growth, healing is growth. And it's always a form of growth when we heal to something. Now we've looked at who we are individually, claiming personal sovereignty individually, claiming personal sovereignty through healing. Now we're not in the universe just in isolation. We're in the universe with other beings. We're in the universe with what most deep time students and teachers would call the geosphere, which is everything around us in nature, the earth, the rest of the universe. And we on earth as well, we have the biosphere, which are all other living creatures. Just want to take a sip of water. And going to the I am an expression of the universe. Now, I'm a deep time student, and I learned this in deep time. I read a paper where it said I'm an expression of the universe. And it was one of the biggest aha moments of my life, because it's as if you're not alone, you're not separate from, you're a part of, and expressing the universe not only makes one honor oneself more, but it feels as if one is backed up by the whole universe, which is quite an amazing concept. I am the growth point. Just like plants have a node, those of you who are into plants, you know, when there's a new shoot at the node, you can just see it. And we are that node, the growth point, where the new shoot will just burst forth, because we're bringing the healing to the next level, the claiming sovereignty at the next growth point. I am the process of life. And that applies to, we aren't just static. We are forever growing. Life is a process. The universe is a process. And even this moment in which we are now, if we just take this breath, that is a process. The moment is not a static thing. We have constructs called time, but really it's the process of just evolving. And I am the healing. We are healing for ourselves. We're healing for one another. We're healing for the universe, because when we grow, when we heal, we are at a point where we're capable of healing the rest of the earth, the rest of the universe. One little ripple makes a difference. And another way to put that, I am the ripple. It always makes a difference. So in reality, there is a single integral community of the earth that includes, I'm just going to minimize this. There's a single integral community of earth that includes all its component members, whether human or other than human. In this community, every being has its own role to fulfill, its own dignity, and its own inner spontaneity. Every being has its own voice. Every being declares itself to the entire universe. And every being enters into communion with other beings. And that is Thomas Berry, who is one of the, I think, founding deep time teachers. I love his teachings. So if you haven't heard of him, I hadn't heard of him a few months ago, look his teachings up. They're mind-blowing. So getting to the point of how does that affect me? What does that mean for me? What is my part in expressing the universe through my individual healing? And how may I contribute to the healing of our planet and the healing of the universe? And there are three ways which where we do contribute to it. The one is, I am learning to claim personal sovereignty in a paradigm of control. We're living in a paradigm of control, whether we like it or whether we don't like it. We have, in so many moments of history, lived in a paradigm of control. I grew up non-white in apartheid South Africa, and that was an example of the paradigm of control, where different things were controlled. Non-white people in most of apartheid time had something called a pass. It was a book that kind of showed where non-white people were allowed to travel in their own country, whether they were out past curfew, which province they lived in, controlling all their movements. That was a paradigm of control. And as touchy as the subject is, in present day, we also live in a paradigm of control where we're told that if you don't put this into your body, or if you don't buy into this, then you will be excluded from certain activities. And that happens in parts of our world today in 2022. How can we still claim personal sovereignty when that is happening? And we're going to go into that in a little while. The second way to contribute to the healing of our planet and the universe, I am stress clearing and energy shifting. I am stress clearing when I clear my own stress, when I'm able to be in a state of inner peace. I'm able to shift my energy. When I'm able to shift my energy, I am able to be that ripple that causes a change in the world and in our universe. And the third thing, how may I contribute to the healing of our planet and the universe? I am liberating loops, and I'll go into that in a second. We're going to have some interactions. I'll just stop sharing. And here we go. When we're looking at how do I stress clear, we're going to go into the second part of it. How am I stress clearing? And how am I changing or shifting my energy? So let me just see, there are 4, 8, 12, 16 people. We're going to do a little exercise. And before we do that, I'm just going to go into an example. When I talked about what can I learn from situations of control. So I have had many experiences where I have been in situations of control. And I remember when I was 11 or 12 years old, I was in a private school run by Dominican sisters. And we had a teacher in grade 6. Her name was Mrs. Smith. And she used to actually talk to us about apartheid and how ridiculous it was, because we were a multiracial school. When people in 2022 don't know how to interact with each other because of a different religion or different skin color or different cultures, it's hard to understand, because we learned this being in a school where everyone was equal, where we could all just communicate and respect everyone. So I remember that in apartheid days, we had certain institutions for white people and certain institutions for non-white people. So one of these was the library. You had a library for different race groups. I remember I went to the library for Indian people, in Indian South Africans. There was one for colored South Africans, or as Americans would call people of a mixed race, biracial people. And there was, I don't remember that there was a library for Black people. I honestly don't think there was. And there was a library for white people. So what happened was Mrs. Smith was telling us one day that one of my classmates was colored. So she's biracial, of mixed race. And she said to us, "Isn't this ridiculous?" Because her great-great-grandfather founded the library. There's a picture of him in the library in a frame, and she can't go into the library because of her skin color. And that was where we began to see not just the injustice, but the part of it where do we go from here? We can interact about it. We can discuss how ridiculous it is. We could even discuss how, maybe not discuss how it hurt, but we could share those feelings. And it was wonderful to be able to do that. So I could go into the library if I was in school uniform and we were having a field trip. We could all go into the library. But come after school, if I wanted to go, I couldn't. And that is a paradigm of control. And that's why I feel so strongly about how you can claim personal sovereignty. You can heal in a paradigm of control. We're going to now go into the second one, the stress clearing and the energy shifting. So if we can heal too, and we can claim sovereignty, how do we do it? How do we get past those thoughts of injustice, or get past those thoughts of these people are wrong? And I'm going to do a little exercise. Since there are 16 of us, I'm going to pull a few cards. I'm just looking at the time here so I can respect it. Okay. Okay, so it is, we will take 4 cards. These are oracle cards, and I'm just pulling them out with the energy that we're all able to interact from the space of love. And the first 4 people that I can see are myself, Kim, my mom, and Viola. So your card is energy, interestingly enough, energy. So you can just write that down. And it says healing energy and immense vitality flows through me easily and effortlessly. You don't have to get all that in words, just feel it. Healing energy and immense vitality flows through me easily and effortlessly. See what happens when you trust the universe. We get the card of energy and healing. And the next 4 people I can see are Shamima, Tam, Marty, and Annie. And you guys have the card Simplicity. And it says, just write that down. It says, deep, profound serenity is expanding in my life. Deep, profound serenity is expanding in my life. And you can just have that moment of feeling that. The next card is for Imogene, Tara, Tex, and Jennifer. And you got the Miracles card. Here's the Miracles card. And the Miracles card says simply, my life is a miracle. My life is a miracle. And the last 4 people here, Tammy, Noelle, Donna, and Renee, you got the card of playfulness. Okay, let me just show you the card of playfulness. My joy is the greatest gift that I give to others. My joy is the greatest gift that I give to others. And just feel that. So what we're going to do is just take a minute and feel how that card feels to you. Feel the energy, if you got the energy card, or the simplicity, or the miracles, or the playfulness. Just feel that. Just connect and feel that. And just call into your presence right now. How does it apply to me? So we're just going to take a minute and do that. Okay. And whatever it called to you, if anyone wants to share, oh, I love that. Noelle, oh my God, that is so me. Right. If anyone wants to share how it applies to them or anything to do with how they felt, please feel free to unmute and share. Anyone want to? Or if you don't feel, oh, Annie, okay. Oh, and Marty, okay. Okay, Annie, go, and then we'll have Marty.
Yeah, and of course, we're both simplicity, but absolutely just that deep, profound serenity expanding in my life. I mean, definitely I've been working with that, and just that I had a channel that I shared actually here a month ago, and the ending of it is, in truth, I shall be as a flow. And I've just really been taking that on as daily practice and feeling it, because I am incredibly busy, but it's just not to be overwhelmed by what's coming up or what you just did, but to be in that moment. And it's really precious. So I really appreciate having this married back to me yet again, Haseena.
Thank you. That's such a wonderful sharing, Annie. And I think we all got that energy. I don't pretend to speak for anyone else here, but certainly I could feel just that energy coming through. Marty, love to hear from you.
Well, my middle name is Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. And I try to say that to myself over and over again, so that card was right on. And I'm enjoying being here with you guys. First time for me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm enjoying having you. I love that. Yes, thanks, Tammy. Thanks for posting it. Oh, I like that. Keep it simple, sweetie. There's another one. Awesome.
I'd say sweetie to other people. I'd say stupid to myself for not keeping it simple. I like sweetie better.
Yeah, being kind to oneself. We'll have one more. If one more person wants to share, then please feel free to unmute and go ahead. Okay, offer expires in 10 seconds. Okay, we will go ahead. Now, just coming from whatever you felt from that card, or however it applied to you, just that I saw all those smiles, and that was really precious, because it's giving to yourself, but it's also giving into the sacred space that we're all sharing. So it's really, really brilliant. Coming from that is what we call energy shifting. When we came from that space that I was telling you about, where there was injustice and there was a discussion. So one of the ways we can shift energy, one of the ways that we can go into stress clearing, is to have a constructive conversation, to be able to share those feelings, but share it in a way moving forward, not in a them and us way, because that's not going to help. And going into well, how can I raise my vibration? And when we do it in a group, it's so awesome, because we feed into each other and we're able to just appreciate one another and just one another's contributions. So there we have it, stress clearing and energy shifting. Now we're going to go into liberating loops that I said I'd tell you more about. Liberating loops, which is a pattern interrupt. And this phrase actually came one night because I don't know if those of you remember when we had tapes, you know, growing up. Well, I grew up in the 80s and 90s where we had those audio tapes, and you could play it on a loop. And now it's even easier because you don't have to record it that way. You just have it on repeat and you can play something in a loop. Our lives get like that. You know, when I was in my 20s, I so remember that I went to a hairdresser, a friend, and while I was sitting in her chair, she was talking about her own, well, she'd been diagnosed with an illness and how the doctor had misdiagnosed and mismanaged her. And as she sat there, she said, my back and my shoulders were so sore. And she was talking about 20 years prior. And she said, and I remember my husband bought 2 empty Coke bottles that were filled with hot water, and he put it on my shoulders. And since she was cutting my hair, she put her hands here and she said, right here. And I thought, wow, I was listening to the story and I felt for her. And I remember about 2 months later, I went for a haircut and I was sitting in the chair and she was talking to someone else about exactly the same incident. And she talked about exactly the same thing. And she put her hands on my shoulders and she said, and he put the Coke bottles exactly there. And there wasn't anything wrong with that. She was just sharing because maybe that's what she needed to share. But in that moment, I so remember thinking, I want to evolve past doing that. I'm sure I'm doing that in my life. I'm sure I'm you know, on a loop. So this is liberating loops. And again, that doesn't just come from me. That was actually a conversation that Tom and I were having about liberating loops. So Tom, I have to give you the credit for half of that. And when we liberate loops, we actually, it is a pattern interrupt because we are getting into a new space. We're doing things in a new way. If you have something different for breakfast, or if you have a new routine, then you're liberating a loop. And once you shift the energy, liberating the loop is just rinse and repeat. You know, just keep doing that. Another story that I wanted to tell you about energy shifting and how it can lead to liberating loops. So a lot of you, well, everybody here would know, South Africa became a democracy in 1994. I was 18 at the time. It was my first time to vote anyway. So as a non-white person, it was the first time my parents could vote in their adult lives, right? And Nelson Mandela, Madiba, was elected to be our president. And the fact that we didn't have a war, a civil war, was a miracle. I mean, I still remember my parents stocking up on candles. Like, we had candles until just a few years ago, seriously. So a lot of people were doing that. So we were in that space, and I remember we had the Rugby World Cup the next year. Now, South Africa was totally unranked. If you don't know the history of rugby, before Madiba became our president, the ruling party was the Nationalist Party. They were a party that was made up of white Afrikaans people. The only reason I'm profiling is that you understand the background, that when we talked about nationalism in South Africa before democracy, that's what we're talking about. The culture. They were the Dutch settlers who came, and the language evolved from Dutch to Afrikaans. And at a point when apartheid, just before apartheid was written into law, this political party comprised of people who were Afrikaans and white, they took over. And rugby has always been seen as an Afrikaans white sport. Not many white people, non-white people at all, ever participated. So come 1994, 1995, so Madiba, under his leadership, he decided sports brings a nation together, and he decided, let's bring sports to the whole of South Africa through rugby, because the Rugby World Cup is coming up. There was one non-white player on the team, Chester Williams. He was colored, meaning biracial. And you could see he was very dark-skinned. A lot of non-white people identified with that. So the rugby team would go and bring it into the townships where Black people lived. And by the time our rugby team was playing to be in the Rugby World Cup, there was a certain amount of pride. We had a new flag, we had a new anthem. And I remember we got to the finals. It was totally unexpected. We're sitting, my family and I are sitting in the family room, and we're watching this on TV. And it's not like we had flags in our hands, but metaphorically, it was the first time I had a flag to wave and an anthem to sing. Like, this has never happened before. And I remember we were on, I think it was 12 points all. Probably, I can't even remember, but it was a draw. And I kept on saying, go, go, you can do this. And I remember my mom saying, no, but it's really great that they even got here. There are only a few minutes left, you know. And here we are, and we get to the last 2 minutes. And our team does this brilliant series of moves, resulting in a goal being kicked. And we won the Rugby World Cup. Unranked South Africa won the Rugby World Cup. And here we were cheering as a country. And everyone's waving these flags. Yes, some were waving old South African flags, but for the most part, you could see these new flags. And, you know, I still remember PJ Powers, one of our singers who was an activist for freedom. She was singing World in Union. It's brilliant. If you haven't watched the movie Invictus, seriously, watch it. And as this happened, then it's a true story in that movie where Madiba said to Francois Pienaar, the captain, "Thank you for what you've done for our country." And he went, "No, Mr. President, thank you for what you've done for our country." And I always get so emotional with that, because that was something where there was a definite stress clearing, there was an energy shifting, because we knew it was going to be okay. And we knew what could be. Everyone had seen the potential of our country. And that's when the liberating loop started. Of course, we've had lots of hiccups and we have our challenges, but we're getting further slowly. And that's how we just get into a new way of being. So we're going to go into the second part of this presentation. And I'm asking anyone, okay, everyone's muted, that's great. And I am going to read a poem that I wrote, and I'm asking you to just look at this picture that I'm sharing and just be with the words of this poem. And be with the fact that it's not only us as individuals, we're all part of the collective. Just as we saw, our collective energy can be raised. Now, if I can just find my phone. Oh, all right. And just look into the stars and the earth and what looks like a person, and just be with those images. You can just relax into it. I emerge from the dream of the universe, from the dance of the elements, from the light of the stars. I am the flow of Earth's potential, defying what's conventional, evolving the existential. I journeyed through the womb, from the cradle to the tomb. I will use care as I consume the gifts of our planet's manifested intentions. I am the universe expressed, life's creations in the flesh, and I emerge in awareness from the mesh with past agendas to confess. I am a component of what's next. In my heart, I know I'm blessed as I step up to the sacred nest of the universe's developmental crest. The evolution is the crest. No direction is suppressed, north, south, east, or west. Growth occurs as it is led. No words ever need to be said. It is my energy that spreads the world's potential. We are all the points of light, emerging from the night, sparks of color bold and bright, evolving intention, potential, unconvention, existential. 8 billion points of light in a 13.8 billion year story, a part of creation's glory. What will we be? What will we bring? How will we connect? What will our actions reflect? What's next? Oh universe, what's next? What may I be? How may I serve? What may I heal? How may I see through your sacred eyes? I am breathed. I am breathing. I breathe sacredly. And as we're being with that, just know that we're moving now from the I into the we. We're all part of this collective. Okay, just getting my screen to share. Okay. In moving from I to we comes to identifying with and connection to. When we identify with another person, because we can identify with their story or we know them and we're able to see just what they must have been feeling, then we're able to move into the we, from I into the we. Just like I told that story about me being in grade 6 and that talk with Mrs. Smith, as we could identify with each other, knowing that we're classmates, knowing how we cared about each other, and being in a space where we could say, that's not right. I don't want her to be feeling like that. And then we're moving from I to we in connection to, just as we in South Africa connected when there was the Rugby World Cup. It didn't matter what our skin color was, what anyone's religious or spiritual beliefs were, anything like that. It was just about us together as a collective, as a nation. So in a paradigm of control, in a space where we're healing to, we can claim personal sovereignty by identifying with, by connecting to. And we move into where individuals strengthening the collective, strengthening individuals. We're in that space where we as individuals are strengthening the collective because of what we bring to the table. And where we as a collective are strengthening the individuals because of the collective energy and what is collectively brought to the table and that we as individuals take in. And I love this picture of all the different hands with the plants in their hands. We bring something to the table. We each give something and we each accept one another's gifts. And we move into convergence. Convergence is where individuals come together as a collective. I don't know if any of you have had one of those toys growing up. I remember having a toy kaleidoscope, and every time you shifted this, the pattern would change. And that's how we evolve and grow into convergence, the individual little facets of the pattern coming together in different ways to converge. And then we get divergence. And divergence is individuals within the collective asking, what can I bring to the table? Just as in that poem, it was just a question of asking, well, how may I serve? What may I give? What may I bring? So all of us in the collective asking, what can I bring to the table? Whatever we bring can heal us as collective, heal our world. And that's where we're coming from. So we get to the point where what is our part in experiencing the universe through our collective healing? How, instead of having that slide at the beginning where we said, how may we contribute to how may I contribute to the healing of our planet and the universe? We can now ask as collective, how may we contribute to the healing of our planet and the universe? We are learning to claim personal sovereignty in a paradigm of control, instead of I am learning to claim personal sovereignty. So what can we do as a world? Looking at where we are now in 2022, and we have the strangest 2 years of my life, certainly, and I've had some pretty strange years. And we're in a place where there's lots of fear. There's war, and we're sitting back and saying, at the point where we evolved to in 2022, how did this happen? How is this even happening? We are learning to claim personal sovereignty in a paradigm of control. What can we do? We are stress clearing and energy shifting. We are liberating loops and having a pattern interrupt. And then we come to a point of, can I love others beyond their beliefs and decisions? And I know we've all been in the space where people have differing opinions of what is going on now. How can we be with our truth and yet love others beyond their beliefs and decisions? And it was something I had to look at within myself, instead of judging others, instead of saying, I can't believe they hold that view. How is it possible? Just rising above that. And that was quite a huge thing for me. And then the second question, for loving beyond, how may I create the world I want to live in? And we're going to stop sharing for a minute and just getting to a place where we can all contribute again. Let's get back to our 4 cards: energy, simplicity, miracles, and playfulness. Let me just see if Denise managed to get in, because I let her in just now. No, it doesn't look like she is in. Okay, so when we're looking at these cards, just remember which one is yours. And instead of thinking, how does it apply to me, like we thought at first, let's now think or feel, what may I give to the collective from this space? And that's a whole lot more personal, but let's just feel that. If you got the energy card where it says healing energy and immense vitality flow through me easily and effortlessly, what may I give from this space? I know how it applies to me, but what may I give? In simplicity, deep, profound serenity is expanding in my life. What may I give from the space of knowing how simplicity applies to me? Miracles. My life is a miracle. What may I give from the space of my life is a miracle? And playfulness. What may I give from the space of my joy is the greatest gift that I give to others? This whole notion of playfulness and how it applies to you. So let's just be with that for a minute. Just take that time and don't think about it, just feel it. Okay, is there anyone who would like to share? What may I give? And there's no right, wrong, anything in any way possible if you just feel called to share. Tex, I see you have a raised hand. Yeah, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Haseena. It's very inspiring and stimulating to hear you and the content you've been presenting to us. Now, I believe I am a miracle in myself. So, but I will focus more on what do I give from the miracle perspective. Now, I seek to, or I endeavor to foster or nurture synergies, encouraging people to come together and share what they have to contribute to the betterment of humankind. And today is one of this example. I came across you in World Unity Week last year, June. And from there, we've developed different collaborations. Initially, it was Dame Kim Conrad who put me up to the fact that you would be available from South Africa to be part of World Unity Week. But this is a miracle of encouraging people to share what they can, and then the synergy that comes out of it, it's beyond our individual contribution. That's miraculous. So thank you.
Thank you, Tex. And yes, you do have a gift. I keep thinking back to World Unity Week last year when it was Ola's presentation, and I remember Annie, you and Tex, you were part of it. And when you contacted me and asked me to be part of that, and Ola so graciously welcomed me into that, but it was such synergy. It was so amazing, and that really is your gift. And thank you for contributing your gift to our sacred space here. So thank you for honoring that, and I honor you for doing that. Anyone else want to share? Okay. Well, if anyone else wants to share in the chat, they're welcome to. I am just going to check the chat because I see we've got so much conversation here. Isn't there a movie? Okay. Our universe is in evolution since 14 billion years. Noel, did you raise your hand?
Yeah. I just want to say about playfulness, and I love to play, and Bob and my husband and I call ourselves light partners, and people go like, light partners? He said, you mean light workers? I said, no, we don't like to work, so we call ourselves, we like to partner with the light. And if anyone, I know Kim has been to one of our CCC gatherings, and it's just as much about the joy. It's fun, but we still go deep, and it's intense, but it's also, it's like no one wants to miss any part of it when they're there, because, but when you think about children are playful in their natural state. And when they're in that state, there aren't any borders, there aren't any countries, there aren't any different languages, there aren't any different colors. And, and it's kind of like what the teaching of Jesus, come to me as little children. And that's when we're innocent and playful and loving. And so I did really enjoy getting that card. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. You called the card to you, obviously. And thank you for honoring our space with your gift. And I honor you for that. Is there anyone else who would like to share about that or anything else? Okay, I'm reading your comment, Annie, about you said it's perfect about the Earth positioned with Yucatan. Could you say a bit more about that? Because I know you're a lot more knowledgeable about that than I could possibly read off here.
Well, I hate to go off on that. You just need to, if you're interested, definitely that was the topic last month, was ancient wisdom. But, just to say that I believe that was a really important entry point for our evolution. I mean, the end of the dinosaurs 66 million years ago allowed for the emergence of the mammal and to our time. And then, of course, the Mayan wisdom that came from that area of the world, I believe, is no accident either. It's interesting. I was just reflecting when you brought up, we brought up playfulness and kind of work, in Montessori, which has been my work with young children for 4 decades now. The young child considers what they do work, and work, honestly, is not a negative thing. But the balance, right? And then, it's interesting, just kind of that whole carefulness about the use of language, because you're using the word structure. And I was looking to see if I had taken a screenshot of what you said there about structure, but just recognizing that, we cannot have true freedom without limits. So you're talking about a particular type of oppressive structure versus a supportive structure. And same thing with work, an oppressive work that doesn't correspond to a person's call in life, but is something imposed and just, left to them to have to do. So then work has this whole drudgery aspect to it and negative. But when it's done from our interior space and what we've been called into, just as you've been speaking about today, then it feels like play. But in truth, it's that important. And I say that to parents, I'm going to refer to what your child's doing in Montessori as work. To the child, that's not negative. Montessori said we should be homo laborans, actually. She liked that Latin for the human. So I'll stop there.
That is awesome. And I know what you're talking about when you were talking about it was, what can I learn from situations of control? Yeah, there are those structures. And what you spoke about, being joyous in, well, what can I do that doesn't feel like work? And that's so great to put into today's time, because that is where we claim our personal sovereignty, saying, what can I do, which is that important to me, that it doesn't feel like work, that it feels like a calling, it feels like being pulled towards. And how can I contribute that to the collective? Because my business coach always says, what you think is ordinary, other people think is extraordinary. So when we contribute that, then our collective thrives. Yeah. Tex, I know you had your hand up. I think I don't know if it's still up.
Yes, it was a little compliment about miracles, because I too feel like that card, probably there was a certain allurement of the card to me, in the sense that I probably pulled it into my reality today. Only earlier this week, I actually posted something to the effect that I pray for miracles, rather than praying for peace or for this or for that, to be generally in a space of openness to miracles, whatever miracles may be required. If we are presencing in the alchemic potential of co-creative presence, like we are all part of the co-creative presencing on the planet. So if we put ourselves in that context, then I think we will have the miracles required, and we don't have to figure out how it will happen, but it will happen.
Yeah. That's such a brilliant point, that the how, Shamima and I were just talking about that earlier, about the how is not your business. That's the universe's business. You know, it's just one's desire, and being there in that space of thinking, in that space of feeling, what emotions do you call to you, what thoughts do you call to you, and then just allowing the how to happen. And it's such a, what makes it so great is when we think of that, we often think about it so much in a separate light to contributing to the collective, but it's only if you align with your mind, body, and spirit, when your being is aligned, that you can bring your best to the collective. And that's been a lesson for me in these past few years. So thank you for that, Tex. I appreciate that contribution. And Viola, I see you said, I agree with Annie about work, calling. Thomas Berry did the great work. That was his calling and our calling here together. Yes, yep. Viola, I don't know if you'd like to say something on what the great work is, because you're so educated in deep time. And if you don't, that's fine. Okay, do you want to unmute? If you let me just unmute you.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm unmuted. Well, I'll just say that is the great work that we're supposed to do, is for healing the earth. I mean, that I see as my purpose, and what can I do to contribute to that healing? And I can't do it alone. It has to be a collective effort. And so this is why I have created my special, wonderful resource center for teachers, because they can educate the children. What Annie is always doing, it's about the children. And it's too late for me. I'm 80 years old and I can't go out and work, and we can't go out anyway. And so what can we do to contribute? And that's my calling. And that's what I do. I do not consider it work. I mean, I work when, I do it at all hours, and it's a pleasure, it's a joy. And I get so much good feeling from it. So I think that's what we are all doing here, from what I see. And that's our great work, and shouldn't be ashamed of saying it. And Thomas Berry, yay, my hero. The dream of the earth is his reality. That's a miracle, Tex. He's making it. His words have made this miracle happen. And that is happening. I really believe that the earth is healing now. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
yes.
if I may add, work, like too often work is seen as this, I know Annie used the Latin, that sort of sound like laborious. And, it tend to imply tediousness for most people. Unfortunately, the way work has become, because there's a lot of exploitation of people in general. But if we see work as an opus, which is like when we talk about artists, artists or authors and, composers, like at some point in their life, we talk about their opus, like all that they've sort of created or put out, So we're all part of this big opus of creation. And I think when we are aware of that, and we consciously come together, two and more, wherever we can, on the ground where we're living, or now we have the opportunity through the internet, through the technology, to come together effectively in the noosphere, which is the global consciousness, the planetary consciousness being activated. So we are all part of the great opus. If we look at what we can do individually, then we may feel a bit overwhelmed. But together, there's so much that can happen. I've been greatly encouraged over the last year or so to contribute my my grain of salt, or my little grain of sand, being a bit of an islander, to this big opus that we are all part of. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tex. I love that analogy, the grain of sand. And together we make up a beach, right? Everyone loves beaches. Let me just read the chat. Yes, so for the next 4 minutes, I'd just like to open this up. Is there anyone who would like to share anything on your heart that you'd like to contribute, or anything that struck you that you'd like to converse about? Let me know. Unmute. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not. Noelle, was that you
Yeah.
raising your hand?
Haseena, I'd like to know more about what you offer and how people can work with you and that sort of thing, because this has been a very beautiful, powerful presentation, and I'm so glad I was able to catch most of it. So yeah, please fill us in. Inquiring minds want to know.
Cool. Thank you. Well, I'm going to just share screen for the last slide. And just go into the next. Okay, it seems the universe wants us to stay here. Let me see if I can change the slide. Very interesting. Okay. So I actually do have a gift for everyone. You see, Shamima and I work together, and we have something called the Unbreakable Tribe. We are mind, body, spirit coaches, and we're involved in bringing together a community for just a community feel, collaboration, connection, where everyone can come together and share what they're working on, their opus, as Tex put it, and being able to just share the space they're in and come with any questions, anything that they'd like to share. And there's a personal development, a big personal development piece of it, which we cover. Each month has a different theme. And it's just wonderful to be able to get together and share that and be able to evolve and grow and contribute to the collective and just grow from the collective. So we'd actually like to offer you a free 30-day membership of the Unbreakable Tribe, and you'll be able to attend 2 of our calls too. You can go to patelunlimited.com to claim it. You just fill out your name, your email address. Please don't worry, there is nothing asking you for credit card numbers. So just go, no strings attached. Just claim your free gift. You can take a screenshot if you'd like to. And we'd love to have you for next month, and just be able to, for you to be able to experience it. If you'd like to email, I want to continue this discussion. As I said, I'm a Deeptime student, and we're busy working on projects right now. And one of my projects is a course called Love Beyond, where can I love people beyond, or can I love beings beyond their decisions and beliefs? And how do we get to that point? And I believe that through that we can change the world. So if you'd like to email and discuss this further, please reach me at hello@haseenapatel.com. And if you'd like to know about any of the rest of my work, like my Akashic Records readings or the courses that I teach, you're welcome to go to haseenapatel.com. And yeah, so that's basically it. And I'd just like to welcome everyone. I think that the most important part of this conversation is where we take it to the next level, where we continue it, where it doesn't just stop with one person's words or one talk, where we can actually take it and be in inspired action and create change in our world. I believe there can be change in the Ukraine and in Russia. I believe that we can live in a collective where there is peace, where there is love. And I also believe that we're part of bringing this new age in. And it sounds very big, and to some people it might sound like, really, how are you going to do that? But if we just do it within ourselves and give that out to our communities, that ripple effect causes such a huge transformation in our world. I really believe that we can do that. And if, before we end, we've got about a minute, if anyone wants to say anything, please feel free to unmute.
I'll just add in thank you to Haseena, to Noel, and to all of you for co-creating with us today. It's been a great value. Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree. I just want to say thank you so much, Haseena. This has been a very special time. Thank you.
Thank
You're doing
you.
wonderful work.
Thank you. Thanks. Well, I think we co-created this space together. We co-created this conversation. I didn't know that we were going to go into the great work, and it's special that we did. It has its own dimension. So thank you to everyone.
Yes.
And yeah, it was, yes.
Yeah. And if I may add, next month's first Saturday, which will be on the 2nd of April, we're going to have in CCC, Jennifer Morgan was the founder of the Deeptime Network herself. So she'll be hosted by Imogen, who's here. I don't know if Imogen wants to say anything. And I don't know if Noel's received any additional information, but same time, same Zoom URL, Saturday, 2nd of April, it'll be Imogen hosting Jennifer Morgan. So if you'd like to know more about the deep time perspective and hear about Thomas Berry and all the great people, Maria Montessori, who started the cosmic education so many years back. So attend next month. Imogen?
Great, great, wonderful. Thank you, Jax. Well said.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kim, for hosting Haseena, and Haseena for playing along with us. It's been very playful.
Yeah.
We're nurturing our joy while we're doing the great opus.
Yes, we are. Thanks, everyone. And thank you, Kim, for being there. It was so awesome to just have that peace, Noel and Kim, just knowing that I was, I didn't have to kind of worry. I've got backup and texts for your offer of assistance as well. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the space, everyone.
Thank you. And thank you on behalf of the co-creators Convergence. I did put in the chat, if you'd like to get the regular announcements of our conversationalists, put your email there and I'll add you to our list. So you get notification of first Saturday coming up with Jennifer Morgan. And we have them planned through July. So thank you everyone for coming. Haseena, you did beautifully. Where are you right now? Are you in South Africa or are you?
Yep, Newcastle, South Africa.
Wow. Wow. You gotta love the Zoom. So thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful weekend. And I do want to tell you, if you want to go on Facebook, they just concluded a wonderful peace ceremony at the border of the Ukraine and Poland. There are over 1,000 people on the call, some of them in Poland and Kyiv. Very, very heart-moving. So you can go on, it's on our co-creators Facebook page. It's also on May Peace Prevail, multiple sites, but you might want to add some light to your day by viewing that. So
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
You. And I love seeing the sunflowers in Haseena's and Kim's backgrounds. Wonderful.
Perfect.
Thank you.